Well, I thought I was going to write a little blog about the Get Back film, but I thought actually I'll just do a quick little video because it's actually a lot quicker for me to do and I can get on with watching the next episode. Well, I've seen now the first part of Get Back, and what can you say? I mean, it's brilliant, it's absolutely fantastic. The picture quality and the sound quality is absolutely stunning. The way it's been put together, the attention to detail, it's just out of this world. I mean, there's spoilers in this, so if you don't want to know what happens, watch it first and then watch my video after. But, you know, there's just little moments like, there's a bit where Linda comes in and starts taking photographs of the band, and you see her shoot a picture of Paul or John, and then you see the photograph afterwards. There's a bit where Paul's making up some lyrics and he has a throwaway line mentioning the record mirror, and there you see the record mirror on his piano. Going to the beginning of the film, and you can quite clearly see the Beatles are all mates still. They're all saying Happy New Year and stuff. They make little comments about Paul having a beard, and they just get on with making music, and that's pretty much what they do. I mean, there's all this talk about, oh, it was terrible because Yoko was sat next to Paul all the time. But yet, Linda was there, Maureen was there, George had two of his Hare Krishna friends there. You know, there were other people around. It's quite funny, like their roadie, Malcolm Evans. He's there right from the start doing his work. But you don't hear him talk until about 2 hours into the film. And I've never heard him talk before. He's got this really deep Scouse accent. And it was just great because you've never heard him speak before. And, you know, there's other people in there that, you know, you just never seen before in a film. And, oh, it's so many great moments. I mean, some of the standout moments for me is there's the bit where Paul's whacking his bass and he's coming up with a riff for Get Back, and then they all get a bit of a buzz going and then they start hammering out this riff. And by the end of the first episode, it's quite clear most of the songs that they're going to do are in various stages of completion, which I never really appreciated. And right at the beginning of the film, you've got John working on a song, which is the song that ultimately became Jealous Guy, you know, one of his most famous songs. So it's all in there. Now, the thing about the story that is, I suppose, been twisted is the way that Michael Lindsay-Hogg did his Let It Be film. Now, Michael Lindsay-Hogg appears in this a lot, and to be perfectly honest, he's extremely irritating. He's just all the time. It's just really annoying. And it's so obvious from watching Peter Jackson's cut that when he made Let It Be, he didn't even bother looking at all the film rushes. Because if you look at all the Twickenham material that's in Let It Be, it's all roughly from about the same day. He's got that bit in there where George says to Paul, the really famous, I'll play what you want and I won't play if you don't want me to play. That, you know, that bit. Well, that was just a bit of a conversation which really didn't go anywhere, and they were just literally discussing how they were going to arrange this song, and then they just carried on. And that was a good few days before George actually walked from the band. But of course, if you watch Let It Be, you think it must have been a few seconds after that when George left. So I think Michael Lindsay-Hogg, he shot great material. What was filmed was brilliant, but how he put it together was not. But then we don't know what his time constraints were. I think he did it in like a few months. And you can't edit video or film back then like you can now. You don't have all the tricks. I mean, one thing Peter Jackson does in his film, it's obvious he's got a lot of audio that he doesn't have pictures for. But the dialogue in the audio is very important. So what he does on these bits is he does subtitle some of it just in case it sounds like you can't quite hear what they're saying. And then he's using a lot of other cutaways to illustrate the dialogue that's going on. So, you know, shots, not using lots of, say if Paul's talking, you might see a listening shot of George, or a listening shot of Ringo, and vice versa. And he gets away with that really well. And if you didn't work in television like I do as a day job, then you probably wouldn't have noticed that. But then as the film kind of develops, you know, the songs are gradually taking more form. The sound quality is just incredible, because I have listened to many of the Naga reels from the Let It Be sessions. Initially, I had a copy of the 30-disc box set called the Beatles not Day by Day, what was the first? 30 Days, sorry. I think it was about a 12-disc box set called 30 Days, which I acquired copies of in about 2000-ish. And then after that came a 30-disc set called Day by Day. And that one I actually listened to most of it, because it was some really interesting stuff. Some of that conversation I remember that's in the film now, like the bit where I didn't know who it was talking at the time, but it turns out it was their publisher, Dick James. And there's a lovely bit on the bootleg that didn't make it in the film, where he was talking to George about their cars and where they get their cars serviced and things, which is quite nice to listen to. But that bit wasn't in it. But the conversation where they're talking about Vera Lynn singing a couple of Beatles songs on the Rolf Harris show, that bit did get put into the film. There's some other really funny moments, like the fact that Paul seems to be smoking a lot of big fat cigars, so I'm guessing he got a box of cigars for Christmas or something. And there's actually a warning at the beginning of the film saying that, you know, people are smoking in this film. I mean, that seems a bit unnecessary to me, but anyway, no. Saying as the film goes on, you know, the chemistry, particularly between Paul and George, it's the complete opposite of how Lindsay-Hogg put it in his Let It Be film, because you know, they are absolutely best mates. In fact, they're all best mates, but particularly John and Paul. I mean, they are literally like that, particularly musically. And, you know, for all the talk that, you know, John was on heroin at the time, you couldn't tell. You really couldn't tell. You know, there's so much laughs and banter and things on it. You know, it's just a totally different narrative to how, you know, how the original Let It Be film was. I mean, there is some shots where, you know, Ringo sort of sat there looking a little bit miserable, but he's just there because he just sat there listening with his droopy moustache to the others talking, and I think, you know, Lindsay-Hogg used that to make it look like everyone was really miserable in the original film. So, summing up then, the first part, it is really good. It's just incredible. You know, the sound quality is incredible. The way that you're hearing them develop songs, I mean, they're doing Let It Be, and the sort of coda at the end of the chorus, they're working that out, and excuse me, it's just great. So yeah, I'm really looking forward to the second part. The way they illustrate the narrative, they do put some subtitles or text up on the screen rather than having narration, and I think that works much better. I mean, I think really this is exactly how the film should have been in the first place. But as I said, a lot of the editing tricks that they've used in this, you couldn't have done in the original. The only thing that I think could have been added a bit more is there's a section towards the end where, after George has left, they're all having this jam and Yoko's singing with them. And I've seen a longer version of this jam, and it's actually really good. And they've trimmed it right down, so there's just little bits of it. But that's you know, that's just a small thing really. But you know, it's certainly, you know, some of all the stories, like, you know, it was a disaster because Yoko was there. Well, that's complete rubbish, because, you know, she was there, Linda was there, Maureen was there, all their mates were there, and they were all having a good time. So, you know, that doesn't really wash. But as I said, it's great first part. So I'm really looking forward to part two. So anyway, hope you like this little video. And if you do, like and subscribe, and I'll see you for the next one.